Your rising sign is the most personal placement in your birth chart, and when I'm talking about the rising sign, I'm talking about you and how you see things, your perspective of the world. It's very much the energy that you give off when you go out. It's how you're seen and how people first perceive you. It's one of the big three things to know about yourself, whatever your sun, moon and rising sign is. But the reason why I say that the rising sign is the most personal placement is because it essentially lays out and sets the order for the rest of your birth chart. It will dictate what signs fall in what houses for you and how the planets are going to be aspected. The ascendant point in our chart, it represents and marks the exact moment in which our soul and body came to this earth, and that is a pretty significant thing to look at, really. And the rising signs give you a really deep dive and in-depth look into the overall personality of an individual. So this is the feminine fixed water sign that's ruled by Mars, and if you want to go modern, it's also ruled by Pluto. So your chart rulers are Mars and Pluto. These are significant, powerful planets to be leading with and stepping out within your first house. Let's have a quick look at Mars. This is our action, our energy, our drive, our passions, intent, willpower. It's the aggression planet. Let's have a quick look at Pluto. This is the planet of deep transformations, deep willpower, deep intentions. It represents death and rebirth. So it's really important for Scorpio risings to know where Mars and Pluto are falling in your chart. How are they aspected? What sign are they in? What house are they in? Because Martian and Plutonian themes are going to be prominent for you in your lifetime. So it's definitely important that you check that out, guys, and you know where it is. Now, of course, disclaimer, not all Scorpio risings are going to have the same experience because it's going to depend on where your own personal planets are falling. So this is just going to be a general look into the Scorpio rising. So introductions over. Let's have a look at what it's like to be a Scorpio rising in this lifetime. Scorpio season right now as I'm filming, and my Venus is in Scorpio and Pluto. So what a good time to look at the Scorpio risings. I love Scorpio energy. I love it, literally. I've got my Venus in that sign. So this is a complex rising to look at, a complex rising to understand, but also very interesting because you are so magnetic yet so aloof. It's hot and it's cold. It's a little bit of a confusing rising, a rising sign to look at from a bigger picture view, but let's have a look at it anyway. So you have Scorpio in your first house, of course, Scorpio risings. And now the first house, this is the house of self and identity and how you're seen, and you are leading with the Mars and Pluto energy here. So this is prominent. This is a reason why, guys, you need to know exactly where your Mars and your Pluto are falling in your chart and how they're aspected if you really want to have a good look at how you're projecting your rising sign to other people. But this means you are natural born psychologists, you're natural born detectives, guys. Scorpio, Mars energy. You read people very, very quickly. It's quite instantaneous, really, when you meet somebody. You work out a picture of them quite quickly. You can pierce through them, basically, see through what they're saying and understand what they really mean. You know, you are a notoriously private person. Of course, Scorpios are very private people in general, and you are quite private over your own affairs, which can make you really, really hard to read. Some people, when they meet you, they can't quite grasp, they can't tell what you're thinking, but you can tell what they're thinking, can't you? But they just can't grasp it. So you can have quite an intimidating presence. Mars and Pluto together combined, that's an overwhelming energy. So when you walk in a room, you might find people just look at you and give you this certain energy of, whoa, who is that? Who has just entered the room? Because again, it's got a magnetic aura to it as well. The reason why when you walk into a room, people are like, because Scorpio, this is a highly sexual energy, okay? Scorpio is a highly sexual energy. Mars is a highly sexual planet. This is the energy that you're giving off. So you could be, without even having to do that much, you are oozing sex appeal. You are oozing that magnetic sexual vibe and aura. So when you walk into a place, your presence is felt instantly by other people. Now, it's not that you're trying to make people feel uncomfortable, it's just there's something about how you come across, people not being able to quite read you. Being a Scorpio rising, this is obviously, of course, a water rising, so the feminine energy is more introverted. So you're not going to be the loudest person when you walk in. You're going to be reading the room, seeing what's popping, seeing people's energies before you come out of your shell. And this can make people be a little bit nervous. You know, you might not be classed as the most social person, which there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone's here to be social. But that's just a bit of a reasons why people might feel that way towards you. But you're also highly intuitive souls, as I said, you know, natural born psychologists, detectives, highly intuitive. You have a high bullshit meter. You can see through things. As being here in this lifetime, you've chose to come back here and be a Scorpio rising, and this is the lens in which you're seeing the world. This is the planet, this is the sign that represents transformation. Okay, deep transformation, Pluto, deep transformation. So a prominent theme throughout your life is going to be to evolve, Scorpios. You'll probably find that you're always having to evolve who you are mentally, physically, spiritually. There's things that you go through in this lifetime that transform you, and you have to say goodbye to an old version of yourself in order to evolve into a new version. Scorpio, the 8th house, that deals with the topic of death as well. So it's not always in the sense of literally as in you've always had death around you, that you could have always had to deal with death. It's more of a case of an old part of you has had to die so that you can evolve and become somebody else. Evolving is a very big thing for Scorpio risings in their lifetime. If you've watched any of my other videos by now, you know I like to have a deep dive and jump around the houses in the rest of the birth chart in order to build up that bigger picture of someone's personality. So let's start having have a look at your 3rd house. 3rd house for you guys, you've got Capricorn sitting here. This is the feminine earth sign that's cardinal, ruled by Saturn. And the 3rd house, this is the thinking and communicating house. It deals with local travel, siblings, neighbours, cousins, your earlier years basically. So having Capricorn and Saturn sitting here, this is quite a serious energy. The fact that you've got Scorpio in your 1st house gives you quite a serious energy anyway. It gives you a serious vibe that you give off. But with this in your thinking and communicating house is definitely one of the reasons why you are much harder to read, Scorpio risings. People don't quite feel they can get into your mind. You don't necessarily reveal everything that's going on in your mind and your thoughts all the time. Capricorn is not a sign that deals with idiocy and idle chit chat and gossip, for example. So unless someone's going to talk to you about something relevant, then you don't really want to engage in that conversation because it's not building to your database and your mindset. That you've got Capricorn in the 3rd, so your mindset is always going to be built on focusing. This is a cardinal energy, so you are able to get up and go and get things started. And the Capricorn is all about building, the long-term building. So you like to learn things as you're going through life that add to your database of practical and logical thought. You know, you like to deal with practical and logical matters. Of course, you've got deeply spiritual sides that can deal with completely non-earthly topics. But in terms of your thinking, this is where you like some stability basically in your mind. You like to have your clear thoughts, clear long-term plan. You know what it takes basically to build up the long-term wealth, which we'll get to and look at into your 2nd and your 8th, 10th house. Having Capricorn in your 3rd house means that you do have a mindset that is geared towards building, and you are, because this is cardinal, and this is the earth sign here, you really do have the abilities to bring your ideas and manifest them into the 3D and make them come to life. Because we've got the Saturn energy that's talking here, there will be some restrictions, as I say, in terms of you letting off every little detail about yourself and talking about yourself in loads of detail. It's not something you do unless you really know somebody. It's double private energy, really, having Capricorn in your 3rd house of thinking, Scorpio in your 1st house. But the Saturn aspect here as well, you know, this is the kind of like grandfather energy. It's an elder energy. So you have a mature mind, probably from a very young child. You've always been quite mature. People have always maybe found that a little bit odd, that you are wiser beyond your years, basically. But a mature mindset, and actually probably enjoy the company and prefer the company of talking with older people. You love listening to the wisdom and the knowledge and the sensibility that comes with growing old. So let's have a look at your 9th house. 9th house for you guys is Cancer, and that is the cardinal feminine water sign that's ruled by the moon. 9th house, this is the home of Jupiter. This is Jupiter's house, house of Sagittarius. This deals with higher knowledge, higher wisdom, higher learning, philosophy, religions, long distance travel, other cultures, things not of this earth. When we get to the Sagittarius house, this is where we start to learn from experiences, you know, as you've evolved through all the chart and the stages. When you get to the 9th house, this is the house of enlightenment in the mind. So for you guys having the cardinal feminine water sign there that's ruled by the moon. The moon is a very fluctuating planet. The moon moves fast. It doesn't stay in a sign longer than 2.5 days. So in terms of your belief systems and your higher knowledge and belief systems, I don't think there is one rigid way in which you feel and will hold dear to. You are changeable as you grow and as you evolve. Your beliefs, your ideas, what you're interested in, what topics you learn, they change, they fluctuate, they go as you get older. This is a super creative sign, the sign of Cancer. Very creative energy to have up in your 9th house. And the 9th house is the house that we can learn from, as well as what I just said. This is the Jupiter house where you learn through experiences. So the Cancer archetype is an archetype that Scorpio Risings can learn from well, because Cancer is dealing directly with the emotions, the deep emotions and feelings of somebody. And you are in touch with your emotions, Scorpio Risings. You know that you have them, but the way that you deal with them is a little bit peculiar. Being a Scorpio Rising, you've got Aquarius in your 4th, so you're not so forthcoming with your emotions and outwardly expressing them to other people. Sometimes it's a private affair. And learning from the Cancer archetype is how to learn through your emotions and know that it's okay to feel what you want to feel, and it's okay to express your emotions if you want to, because this is the house where your emotional expression is meant to be manifesting for you. It could be a case where you're not that comfortable really expressing everything that you feel deep down about yourself, but you need a creative outlet that you can do that still allows you to express how you're feeling, if that makes sense. So having a creative topic, a creative hobby, something where you can let your emotion into without directly having to maybe communicate and actually say your emotional state. Having Cancer in the 9th house does also give you that high levels of intuition. Having the water up there in the Jupiter house, you've got high levels of intuition. And it's also a very spiritual house. Of course, the 9th house is a very spiritual house. And here, having the deep-seated emotions connected with this house means you're always on a path of truth and self-discovery at soul level. You want to know why you're here, why you were born, what you're about, what makes you you, why do you tick in this way, why do other people do what they do. As Scorpio Risings, you love to know why other people do what they do, don't you? You love to analyse and work that out, but this gives you a very spiritual nature, basically inclined to be interested on your inside on an emotional level in the higher topics of life that exist out. So let's have a look at your 12th house. 12th house for you guys is Libra. Now the 12th house, this is the unconscious mind. It's your subconscious thoughts, things that you're not necessarily always aware of, your inner spirit. This is the house that unconsciously connects the collective's mind as a whole. You guys, you have Libra sitting here. Now this is Venus energy. And this is a very, very spiritual house, actually. And Venus energy likes to be in the 12th house. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and 12th house is the house of Pisces. So again, as I was just saying with the Cancer in the 9th house, interested on a soul level in spiritual topics, having Venus energy in the 12th house, again, this is another house of spirituality. It's not the only house, but another house that deals with spirituality. So you have a love for other worlds, other realms, other dimensions of thought, literally. And it's also interesting because I look at it as one of the mind houses in a way, because it's dealing with the unconscious mind, what's going on in here. And Saturn is also exalted in Libra. And so this is twice now where I'm seeing in your chart that Saturn energy in a thinking house, basically, or in a mind house. You've got Capricorn in the 3rd, Saturn energy up here in the 12th house of Libra. So in your subconscious mind, you want things to be fair and balanced. You are striving to find balance as a Scorpio rising. You don't always get balance. It's a little bit hectic. Things change, people change around you, your circumstances change, and what you are secretly, it's not even secretly, but what you're subconsciously seeking is that stable, harmonious connections with other people. I mean, we'll get onto it when we get into Aquarius in the 4th, but you kind of do have a bit of detachment issues really from other people. But having Libra in the 12th, it's sort of representing that deep down subconsciously you do want that sort of fairy tale relationship, basically, whereby it's beautiful, it's harmonious, you're deeply connected. You do want to be able to connect with other people, and you want to be able to be relatable, even though You probably think a lot of people's opinion of you that you are not relatable because they are so intimidated by your presence when you first come in somewhere. But Venus in the 12th house, you do want to be relatable, really deep down. So let's have a look at your 5th house. 5th house for you guys is Pisces, and that is the feminine, mutable water sign that's ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So you've got the Jupiter-Neptune energy in your 5th house. 5th house, this is the house of children, romance, dating, fun, expression. It's the creativity house. So having Pisces here, which is a super creative sign, this is where Venus has its exaltation in Pisces, in the house of creativity, means you guys are super creative. Being able to have a creative outlet is a must for Scorpio risings in this lifetime, quite similar to what we discussed with the Cancer in your 9th house, needing to have a creative outlet. So for Scorpio risings, you need to have a creative outlet of expression. Whatever you do in terms of your creativity and fun has to be something you're very connected to. You know, within here, you'll be very, very passionate about what you do. You will probably shock people when it comes to how you're expressing. I mean, when you've got the Jupiter energy that's expressing, you know, people receive the Jupiter energy well. So when you do come out and you're expressing yourself, you might have those really out there thoughts and ideas that people are like, whoa, I would have never have thought with the Scorpio rising, Cap in the 3rd, quiet self, that you have these big ass ideas. Having the Neptune there, Neptune influence, it's all about the dreams, imaginations, illusions, delusions. So big idea, people. This is the house of children and dating as well, you know, like light-hearted romantic dating and sexual affairs. So when it comes to your children, quite possible actually that you will have a Jupiter or Neptune influence child. Very, very interesting to look at. But in terms of dating and how Pisces is an energy, this is an energy that wants to connect completely. We're talking mind, body, soul connection. There's reasons why you definitely need a mental connection as well as some sort of physical. But when you are looking for that partner, which we'll talk about more when we get into 7th house, your Descendant sign, but you are looking for someone who can commit and get down to that soul level, someone you can intertwine with and kind of become one within a way. Let's have a look now at the 11th house. 11th house for you guys, you've got Virgo sitting there. That is the feminine earth mutable sign that's ruled by Mercury, and this is sitting in the house traditionally ruled by Aquarius. This is a fixed house, and Aquarius, this is all about social connections, public connections with other people, humanitarian topics. So having Mercury sitting here, you know, Aquarius is air. Air is about the intelligence, and we've got Mercury, Virgo, by Mercury energy sitting up here in your 11th. So intelligence is something that you are about. You are intelligent, guys, as you know you're intelligent. You've got Gemini in the 8th, Aquarius in the 4th. You're very intelligent, and you're also very emotionally intelligent people. But you value intelligence, and you value intelligence in other people. You'd be really good at building up a network that's based on communication. You know, when you're working as part of a team, you're really good at knowing who to bring together. And when you're working as part of a team, that might be where some of your greatest ideas might come out. Having the Mercury energy here in this house means that when it comes to like your way of working, you know, you are futuristic. You don't want to be stuck in the Stone Ages. You want to be able to use the advancements of technology that we're experiencing in this current age of Aquarius that we're in. You want to use advanced technology so you can always be, I guess, ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? You want to be ahead of the curve. This isn't someone who wants to be static, evolving always, changing always. That's what Scorpio rising does. So in terms of yours, is also the house of friendships. And in terms of your friendship group, you're going to be pretty selective over who your friends are. You know, this is the area of life where you are a bit nitpicky. Virgos are, and it is a nitpicky energy. And it's not because you're a snob. It's just that you know what energies do and don't gel with you. You got Aquarius in the 4th. There's only certain types of energy you can gel with. You know, you've got the fixed signs and all the angular houses. You do have some particular traits about you and particular things that you like in other people. But when it comes to your friend groups, you're such a helpful friend, guys. You will help your friends. You like to see your friends do better. You know, you'll help them if they're in need. Very good service to your friends. You might also attract those friends that are a little bit nitpicky to you as well. But, you know, you can be nitpicky to them. So it all works, swings and roundabouts. But, you know, you prefer You will have the small talk if you absolutely have to, but you do prefer more that tight-knit circle of friends that you communicate with, that you actually do know really quite well. And if you think about it, if I'm looking at your friendship house and your long-term relationship house, it's both an earth sign. Earth is something that you need. You want to be around that stable, reliable, earthy type energy in relationships of friendships and partnerships. Remember, guys, as well, to have a look at your chart and any planets that you've got falling in your first house. That's going to kind of modify and change the expression of your ascendant sign. It's something just important to remember there. But let's have a look now. Let's jump to your second house. Second house for you guys, you've got Sagittarius here. What a placement to have the Sagittarius energy. This is the mutable male fire sign that's ruled by Jupiter. So you've got Jupiter energy in the second house. In the second house, this is all about stability, our values, building for the long term, basically, our possessions. Obviously, of course, the house of finances. It's not all to do with finances, but finance is a big part of it. So not a bad house to have the Jupiter energy in. So it means really that you're going to be valuing very much those Sagittarius type themes, which is higher knowledge, higher learning, religion, philosophy, wisdom. You like to share your knowledge. Sagittarius is a truth seeker, so the truth to a Scorpio rising is of the utmost importance. You are truth seekers. You are on a path of discovery in this lifetime of the truth of yourself, particularly, but you want to know the truth. You also want to know all about the secrets of life and things like that. But truth speaking is something that's important to you. So if someone was to ask basically Scorpio Rising's opinion, I think they're going to get the Sagittarius honesty there. And when the Sagittarius is being honest, it's not in to be mean, actually, and to hurt someone. It's just the truth. So to be honest, if you're going to ask a Scorpio Rising a question, be prepared for the answer, because they're going to give it to you how they see it. Second house also represents the throat, so you know, having the Jupiter energy here means Scorpio risings, you might have a beautiful voice, and when you do speak, people want to listen. People will listen to what you say. That Jupiter energy, you know, same as in your fifth house, Pisces, again ruled by Jupiter. So when you're expressing yourself and you're speaking with your throat, it's quite a beautiful energy that people like and want to listen to. This is also the planet of good luck, of course, Jupiter, good luck, fortune. So having this in the house of, you know, we can look at it as one of the houses of money. It's quite a fortunate energy to have there. So you might have actually found with the things that you've had and what you've been able to build in your financial situations, you always experience some good luck. However, this is a mutable sign, so again, it is subject to fluctuation from time to time. Jupiter's a big energy. This is a planet of no boundaries, you know, so you can probably have some overindulgent tendencies, like you love what you love, whatever you like to do, you really like to do it. You've got Libra, Venus energy up in your 12th house. So when you want to do something, Jupiter in your fifth house, or when you're wanting to do something, express it, it really needs to be, it's basically what you enjoy. You are here to enjoy your passion. It could also mean that from time to time you tend to overspend. You know, Jupiter is that go big, go home type energy. It goes large. You might just be overspending sometimes, you know, overinvesting, things like that. But this is a very generous energy to have as well in the house of your stuff, because the second house is what you have, eighth house is what you have with other people, so second house is what you've got. So you were building whatever it is that you're building in this long time, in this lifetime. It might be with the intentions of sharing that with other people. You know, you are a generous person. You can be generous with your money. You lead with that Mars energy in your first house anyway, so you are a bit of a risk taker. But of course, having Jupiter in this house means that these are people who will take a risk. And there could be an occasion where you blow it all, or you overinvest, or you make a bit of a rash decision, for example. But you best believe somebody with this placement will find a new idea and a new way to build that back up. Having Jupiter here, guys, you are the manifestors. You should definitely be able to manifest things into reality into this lifetime. And for, you know, the more evolved Scorpios particularly, it's because some people might look at it and think, wow, that you could be a really materialistic type person, but actually I think it's the bigger picture here. This is Sagittarius energy, it's the bigger picture, so they won't necessarily be so tied into the whole materialism of having all this stuff and all this money. They know that there's much higher things to life to have value in than actual physical money. So let's have a look at the 8th house. This is a very interesting house to look at for you Scorpio risings, of course, because the 8th house is the house of Scorpio and you are a Scorpio rising. So this is a very deeply private, watery house, of course. It's the fixed water sign. Now for you guys, you have Gemini sitting here. Now, that is the mutable air sign that's ruled by Mercury. So you've got the Mercury, which is the mind energy, sitting in the deep house of emotions and the privacy house, basically. So your mind, this is what I mean. When I say you guys are very hard to read because your mind is private, your Mercury energy is sitting up in a very private house. So you like to know what's going on in other people's minds, very much, very, very inquisitive of what's going on in other people's heads, and so that you can read them. But when it comes to expressing your own deep thoughts, that's something you do keep private. You value privacy of the mind, and this is what can give Scorpio risings their aloof nature, because you can be guarded when it comes to expressing your own deep feelings. Now, Gemini, it's a very communicative energy, so there is definitely a need for you to be able to communicate how you're feeling, your deeper feelings with somebody, but that's not just going to be any Tom, Dick or Harry, because trust is a huge theme, privacy is a huge theme for Scorpio risings. So you're only going to do that with people that you trust. Now, this is also the house, let's think about it, of taboo topics, occult knowledge, secrets, things that people don't really talk about, the hidden house. And having the Mercury energy here means you're interested in all those things. You'll be interested in the things that people won't usually speak about. Astrology, tarot, occult knowledge, ancient knowledge. These are things that interest you. You know, 8th house, secretive house. You like to know people's secrets. You like to know what's going on in other people's minds. You want to know their secrets when you meet them. You'll ask them questions so that you can get to know all about their mind, their state of mind, and what's going on, even though you don't necessarily always reveal your own thoughts and your own mind, what's going on. When it comes to other people's minds, something you're definitely interested in. Of course, 8th house, this is representing the house of sex, isn't it? Of course, this is the house of sex. Now, having that mercurial air, intelligence energy means that intelligence and being able to connect on a mind level with somebody is important. Of course, you're a very sexual person. You're leading with Mars and Scorpio energy anyway. You've got Pisces in the 5th house. Pisces in the 5th house is also a sexual energy, does like to connect on a very deep level. But unless there's that mental connection, you know, it's not going to be long lasting for you guys. So mental stimulation is something that you look for and that you need. So another thing that you're craving is definitely to be able to have those conversations with people where there's substance behind it, but people that can actually go deep and talk about those peculiar out there topics that some people are not necessarily comfortable with talking in, like the mysteries of life after death, what happens with life after death. You guys are interested in that. Where do we go? What are the realm? What happens? Where does my body go? Where does my spirit go? These are things of interest to you. This is also, of course, the house of shared finances and resources with other people. So you're very creative and good ideas on how it comes to allocating and sharing your resources. But again, it comes back to the fact that we've got the air Mercury energy here. So I think for Scorpio risings, control is quite a theme for you anyway, guys, isn't it? You know, you do prefer to be in control, cool, calm and collected and all of that. And having this intelligent mind in such a deep house of out there topics, you know, you love to know those things that most people won't know. I think it makes you feel a little bit more powerful inside, knowing that you know more than the average Joe. And if we have got a Scorpio rising that we're talking about here that is operating on the lower vibration, the lower octave of Scorpio risings, and you might be very, very good at manipulating people's minds. We are mixing together the 8th house Mars Pluto energy with Mercury, manipulation of minds going on here. And the reason why I say lower vibration, if you're operating on the lower octave of being a Scorpio rising, because when we do get to Scorpio, this is the lower half of the body. This is when we're dealing with the genitals here. So not all Scorpio risings, but for some Scorpio risings can have manipulative tendencies and like to control people's minds. Let's have a look at the 6th house. 6th house for you guys. You've got Aries sitting there. That's the male cardinal fire sign that's ruled by Mars. Sitting in your 6th house, this is your day-to-day routine, day-to-day work, your health, your service. So when it comes to your day-to-day life and your day-to-day routine, you like to do what you want to do. You are not here to be tied down into any sort of rigid matrix 9-to-5 structure. No, Aries, this is the entrepreneurial flair energy, go-getter, cardinal, get things started, fire. This is the passion. You are passionate about basically being able to do whatever it is that you want to do. You are here to be a leader for sure. This is a leading energy. You've also got Leo in the 10th. That's the fixed male fire sign. Again, strong leadership energies in what you're meant to be doing for how you work. We'll talk more about your 10th house in a second. But looking at the 6th house. So, you know, as I say, that whole matrix job and being around people all the time, that you're having to be forced with people that are just not of your mind and that are stuck on this 3D realm of just stuff here and social media and all of that stuff. This is not what you're about. You are here to lead people or work with basically a select few people on your team, because you probably found that if you have just joined those normal jobs, you kind of get into conflicts at work, because when you do go to work, you're probably putting other people to shame with the energy that you've got. This is Aries in the 6th, fast energy, moving around quickly, just working, and people are like, how are they doing that so fast? And you're like, how are you not done yet? You know, do you know what I mean? It's a fast energy. So that passion, that power needs to be put into your own business, not given to someone else's. So you really do value your freedom. This is definitely like work hard, play hard type energy. You know, you want to have a bit of fun in what you do in the day to day. You don't want rigid structure. It would just drive you crazy. And Aries is also a very physical sign. You know, it's a high energy sign. So in your day-to-day life, you probably need to make sure you're releasing or finding outlets that helping you release some of that physical energy that you've got through sort of workouts or just physical activities. Basically probably helps you feel a little bit calmer in this lifetime. Of course, we're having the Mars energy here in Aries. This is a sexual energy, so quite possibly there's a requirement that sex is a part of your almost daily life. You will like to be able to do that and have a partner where you can have regular sex with. And if you're not with someone, then you might be doing the solo type of looking after yourself, if you know what I mean. But that physical release of energy is just something that's important for a Scorpio rising. I want to have a little bit more of an in-depth look now at the angular houses. As I said at the beginning, 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th, the angular houses, these are the houses that are more prominent themes in your lifetime. Let's start off, look at your 10th house, because we've just been talking about your 6th house of work. So look at the 10th house. This is the long-term career house, the public house, the social status, how you're seen. Basically the other house that you can look at in your chart, it's how you're seen. So the 1st house, you're seen as a Scorpio rising, but you've also got Leo in the 10th house. Now these are Scorpio and Leo, these are both fixed energies. So how you are seen is as if you're a very stable and put together person, even if, as we might know with you Scorpio risings deep down, there is this level of chaos that can probably be brewing inside you, and this instability that you do feel, Aquarius in the 4th. But how you appear is cool, calm and collected. Now, Leo in the 10th house for you guys, this is the male fixed fire sign that's ruled by the sun. So we're talking about sun energy up in the 10th house. So you want to be seen for what you're doing, and it's not in the sense of trying to get people's attention. It's just that when you do something, you want to be recognized, I guess, in a way, or appreciated for what it is that you're bringing. Sun energy here in the 10th house, you're meant to be seen anyway. You are here to shine. You might have always felt like you are here to shine, and you also want other people to shine too. You want people to be doing well. You got Virgo in your 11th. You promote wellness. You have a generous nature. Leo is an energy that people take note of, and you know the fact that you're a Scorpio rising, that's also a prominent energy, just because the presence of those powerful mix of energies Mars and Pluto brings. So having mixing in the houses of where you're seen, having Leo and Scorpio, you know, people are very attracted to the Leo energy as well. So this is why without you having really to do that much, people are just attracted to you. You know, they're going to feel like they want to follow you in some sort of way. And you know, Leo, this is leadership again. So as we just said, in your 6th house, you're not here to be stuck in some other matrix 9-to-5 job. You are here to find your own path, to be an entrepreneur, to be a leader, to be in charge, to be doing your own thing, because all of that fire and all that passion needs to be invested into building your own long-term future. Leos are money driven. You know, they are money driven so that they can work hard, play hard, and this is exactly what you do. You are driven to build and make money. You know, you've got Jupiter in your 2nd house of how you're building long term. Leo in the 10th house. So whatever you are doing for work, it is so that you can build. And of course, because it's a fixed sign, you are very, very hard-working people. But again, same as Aries in your 6th, it is that work hard, play hard. So you guys need to be able to basically let off some steam. Let's have a look at the 4th house now, the other angle house, the 4th house. 4th house for you guys, you've got Aquarius sitting here. This is the male air fixed sign that's ruled by Saturn. And if you're going modern, it's also ruled by Uranus. And the 4th house, what is the 4th house? This is the house of home, roots, traditions, nurture, our mother, the nurture we received as a baby, you know, very much our inner feelings. It's a private house, it's a sensitive house. This is the second, well, it's not the second time, but this is another example in your chart where you've got air in a water house, and that does kind of make for a little bit of a less sensitive energy. You've got Gemini up in the house of Scorpio, a little bit less sensitive. So having this Aquarius in the 4th house, this is what gives you that aloof nature about yourself. You know, unpredictable in the way that you react. Your emotions are unpredictable, a little bit unstable. You know, you're not necessarily consistent. Aquarius, if you can look at it as if it's an Aquarius moon being in this house, for example. And you know, I am actually an Aquarius moon, guys, so I really get the Aquarius, the effects of being an Aquarius moon. So you are private people. Another reason why you're private, you have Aquarius in the 4th. You don't have this need to talk about how you're feeling deep down, splurging that out to everybody, because you've often found in this lifetime when you are expressing yourself, you've been misunderstood. People don't get it. They're not sure where you're coming from. They don't know how you've got to that point. So you can sometimes just prefer to not say anything. You might just stay silent rather than trying to explain yourself to someone who isn't even on your wavelength of thought. You're trying to bring someone up to your level of intellect of where you're at. You know, you have high emotional intellect with these placements. So again, one of the reasons why you might have that aloof nature about you, why people think you're a little bit hard to read, and people might say you've got this kind of cold side to you, which, you know, as I say, you Libra and you're 12, deep down you are seeking those connections. You want that. You got Taurus in the 7th. You want that long-term everlasting relationship. But in terms of your emotional and private feelings, you are a bit weird with it. Let's face it, you know, the Aquarius energy is a bit weird. So deep down, you are a bit of a weirdo. You've got this side to you that's odd. And there's nothing wrong with being odd anyway. I love Aquarius energy. And you probably relate very well to other Aquarius energy because you like weird in other people. You know, there's something you very much value and are seeking in somebody else in long-term stability relationships is someone who is a bit unique and different, who has this artistic flair and can express himself. Pisces in the 5th. You want someone who's a little bit off the cuff, do you know what I mean? You don't want someone that's just like everybody else. This placement may have also played out for you when you're in your upbringing in your home. There was a sense of detachment around the house, a detachment with the family in some sort of way, like they were there but that you weren't there, like connected in some way. And one of your superpowers is actually being able to detach from other people, again, where you can sort of come across and have that aloof nature. This is another reason why you're on the path to truth seeking, though. Aquarius are about the truth, and again, of non-worldly topics. You know, you're here to seek and try and find out who you are at a soul level. You know, this is also very much the freedom sign. This is someone who appreciates the freedom. So you do need time by yourself, like in your lifetime. You know, you've got Aries in the 6th house, your day-to-day. Again, that's an independent, strong energy. You don't need to be around people all the time. You do appreciate time by yourself. And this is, again, you can have those tendencies to just kind of escapism or just go quiet sometimes on people and maybe even need a little society break. And it's not that it's somebody else's fault. You just sometimes want to shut off and you just don't want to deal with any outside influence. So let's have a look at the very last house, guys, we've got here. I've got the 7th house, your Descendant sign. You guys, you've got Taurus sitting in here. So that is the feminine fixed earth sign that's ruled by Venus in the 7th house. This is the house of long-term relationships with other people. You know, this is the first house that you get to. The 7th house is the first house in a chart that you get to that deals with other people, and it's not just all about you. So you've got Taurus sitting there. Now, I'm not also saying here that you can only be with the Taurus archetype either. That's not what I'm saying. But someone who can definitely display and access that Venusian energy and even moon energy, if you want to go that far, really, because, you know, the moon is exalted in Taurus, but someone who can basically display those energies is important for you. So in your relationships and friendships is where you're seeking stability. In a partner, you need someone who is stable and consistent and reliable. As a Scorpio rising, you know your life can be sometimes turmoil. Your emotions, Aquarius in the 4th, can be unpredictable. You've got Uranus influence there. You can be a little bit unpredictable. The Scorpio rising, deep transformations and involvements that you keep having to go through. So in a partnership, you don't need someone who's all over the place and all scatty and hasn't got their stuff together. It's not what you need. You want somebody who has got their stuff together, who you can rely on, who can be that source of strength sometimes when you maybe can't. Now, the Taurus energy here, you can be kind of slow to get into relationships because trust is such a big thing. You need to know that if you're really going to be with someone, you're going to commit to them, that person genuinely has to be right for you. There's certain qualities that you're looking for there. Someone who is loyal and can actually show you prove to you that they love you. You know, prove to you that they're not just going to run off at the slightest thing. They're not going to run off as soon as you reveal you're a weird Aquarius 4th house. Like, no, as soon as you start revealing the traumatic and transformative things you face as Scorpio rising, you can't have your partner just running off and leaving you because they don't like what you've done. No, this is ride or die energy. You want someone to the death who can put up with all your stuff. And it's also a case of you're attracted to someone who is about building themselves. Tauruses are about building. They're about long-term stability and having financial independence. So you like someone who has their own independence basically and has their own mindset geared towards building, because that's going to help you build everything that you want to build. Jupiter in the 2nd house, Capricorn in the 3rd house, thinking everything you do is building. You know, Leo in the 10th, you're building, you're striving, you know, for whatever dream it is that you've got, and you need a partner who can jump on board with that and be ride or die. You can struggle with your emotions sometimes, Scorpio. You can be very, Scorpio risings, you can be very up and down, a little bit unpredictable, as we know, but yet have an aloof nature. Now, Tauruses are really stable, and that's good for you. And at the same time, in the reverse, you can help transform the Taurus archetype and bring them out of their comfort zone a little bit and show them how to just emotionally evolve and change, and to not be afraid of change, because Tauruses don't like change too much. You know what change is all about, so it's a complementing energy to each other. You probably often have found that you've attracted Taurus type archetypes and just people with a bit of a stubborn tendency to them, but you've got stubborn tendencies in you. You've got the fixed signs and the angular houses, so you can really dig your heels and you can have your firm belief systems, and you want to be with a partner who has their own belief systems as well. You can oftentimes attract people that are really obsessive towards you as well. You know, it is that Venus energy, so you might find those people just become obsessed with you really easily, basically really quickly, but also you can be obsessive with a partner. You can be, and depending on what type of Scorpio you are and what stage of the Scorpio levels that you're at will depend on your levels of obsessiveness and your need to control someone as well, because you might have this tendency and need to be the person that's in control. You're not easily controlled. You're leading with Mars and Pluto energy. You've got the unpredictable Aquarius in the 4th, so if someone tries to control you, it's not going to work. You'll reject that. You'll be like, you can't control, don't try and control this. It's not going to work. So you probably do need a partner that is a little bit more receptive to let you be in the lead and let you be that dominating party. Sort of in a nutshell, you're looking for someone really who you can build with, not someone who you have to kind of baby and take care of, someone who has got their own financial dependence, who knows about building you, who can spend a bit of time by themselves, who's not going to want to be stuck to your side all the time. You do need someone who's got, you know, a little bit about themselves, the ability to go deep and have those deeply spiritual topics and conversations and just show you that unconditional love, because that's what you need, it's what you're craving. You know, the Cancer up in the 9th, the divine feminine energy is an energy, the love, the nurture you receive from a woman, that is something that you are seeking. So it's an important factor for you to find that in a partner. Taurus is also a very sexual energy. Scorpio risings, you are a sexual being yourself. Taurus, very sexual, but also very sensual, like they're into the whole foreplay, the senses. Taurus is the senses, touch, taste, smell, everything. So you two combining that sexual energy, you can have some seriously passionate soul level connections. They basically balance each other out. They complement each other very well. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. That was my video on Scorpio rising. If there was anything that I said that you liked or could relate to, then drop me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then please subscribe and come with me on my astro journey. And coming up in my next video, I'm going to be talking all about the Sagittarius rising. So I'll see you in my next video.